reaction to the bad things that we see on the street. That's not a long-term vision for solving this problem.
Thank you, sir. And the next question goes to Greg. And the question is, what will you do about securing a community hospital for Bremerton?
All right, thank you for the question. So, the first thing I want everybody to know is this is going to be a high priority for mine, if not one of the highest. So what I'll have to do is ensure that CHI Franciscans follow through on their promises that they've already made, which is to provide urgent care in our city. It's also they have promised to take care of the building after they're gone in that city. I will recruit and work and learn the healthcare industry up and down, top to bottom, to recruit that hospital. This is a high priority. I've heard it on the doorsteps. I'm concerned for our citizens. I'm concerned for the shipyard workers who rely on a hospital close by. I know I've needed it before as a worker in the waterfront. It's a very important issue. This will take a high priority. We have folks dependent on public transit. CHI is not accounted for that portion. As far as KRCC goes, that was one of the things I'm most proud of, is leading our council out of KRCC with a unanimous vote and with the saving us money every year and a layer of bureaucracy on top of it.
Thank you. And Terry, same question?
Yeah, I keep hearing high priority. We've known the hospital was leaving the last 8 or 9 years. I mean, they indicated that before. So when they started building the Silverdale Hospital was the time where the city should begin negotiating with Harrison and with Franciscan about what healthcare services are going to be retained here in Bremerton. And let me tell you what I believe. I think we need to sit down at the table. The minute, if I'm elected, we'll have a task force on healthcare. There's no one in the city that's an expert on healthcare. There just isn't on the staff. So what we need to do is bring the smartest healthcare people that we have in this county together to say this hospital cannot leave the major urban core of the city without health services. And the first one is the ER. our Medic One people made 7,000 emergency calls last year. If we're having to take those people all the way to Silverdale, A, it puts their life in jeopardy, and B, it costs the city a lot more money. The second thing is I think we need to retain the 74 beds that need to be retained here in the city. They have a license for 350 beds. 74 of them or 5 of them need to remain here in Bremerton. So that if I'm elected, the minute I do, we'll put a task force together and begin negotiation on this issue.
Thank you. Mayor Lennon.
As your mayor, I'm already doing it. I have meetings set up with David Schultz and the other people with CHI. We want to take and be very specific, not just in the promises, but we want to get it on paper, where they're going to have their hospital, where they're going to have their residency program. CHI did buy that program from the Naval Hospital. We'll have 15 doctors that will be learning to be doctors in this community, and that's going to stay here, whether they have acute beds. We also have filed an appeal to the Certificate of Need about the number of beds they're going to take to Silverdale. We do need at least 85 beds. That's what Gig Harbor has when they got their hospital. So we're in a progression. There are 2 different companies that are looking and talking with CHI about what's going to remain or not remain at the current campus, 7 acres downtown Bremerton. So things are being done. You won't see it in print yet because until we can get some things on paper that we all agree to, but you will see that we will have that service in Bremerton.
Thank you, Mayor. And the next question goes to Carrie. Please start us off for our next round. This question is actually somewhat as a follow-up. It says, in regards to the CHI hospital building in Bremerton being turned to green space after the construction of the new facility, is it possible to form a group of investors to buy the CHI property for the cost of the land, plus CHI's abatement and demolition cost, then using it as a parking structure for a shipyard, 1 floor for, I'm sorry, no conflict of interest here, I work for Kids on Mental Health Services, but it says 1 floor for Kids on Mental Health Services and 1 floor for the homeless. Gary, your thoughts on that question, please.
Yeah, I guess all that's possible. It's not something I would advocate for. The first thing I'd advocate for is retaining part of that building as a community hospital. I just don't think that a city of our size, 40,000 people, should be without a hospital and an emergency room. And whether or not that's 74 beds and an emergency room or something else that looks similar to that, provided healthcare services for our 40,000 people, I think that's got to be the first priority, is retaining good quality healthcare services. Could the building be used for something else? Sure, but it's not. It's a hospital. And it has hospital rooms and it has emergency rooms, and we should retain that, do everything we can to retain that in some semblance to healthcare facility.
Thank you. Question goes to Patty, please.
The property does belong to Harrison and CHI, so it's private property. But as I said, there are two different companies that are looking at that space. As far as the parking garage, I don't know about what might end up there, but it's not something that's going to be leveled. I know that they have $5 million set aside if they were to demolish that property. There is the guts. It's so old. The building that was built in '64 does need some major upgrade, if not a new building. But the ER and some of the other things, in 2010 we opened the best heart and vascular building on this side of the peninsula, and we have great people that had any kind of heart problems. They've had great treatment there. So there are buildings that I feel need to stay. They've got too much money invested, and it would be terrible for them to demolish the entire thing. We're working with it. Like I say, we have meetings set up with David Schultz, and to move forward, hopefully you'll be reading about that in the very, very near future.
Thank you. Greg, same question.
All right, thank you for the question. First off, CHI is not going to sell that hospital to a competitor. That's not going to happen. Anybody that would understands anything about business knows that. You know, what I foresee with that campus is, I perceive that being a job creator, a center where we could attract that next employer that might provide living wage jobs. It could be Amazon or Expedia who wants to expand operations. I could see working with CHI to make that happen. As far as the parking structure, I'm not interested in parking structures. I'm interested in urban transit. I'm interested in park and rides. I would be open to facilitating, as your mayor of Bremerton, something that would help folks that need mental health services. Now that's something I would also be open for. I am certainly would like to see jobs created in that area. I think it's vitally necessary.
Thank you, sir. All right, so the question goes to Patty. Good question. So the question is, do you have any plan to give local workers who rent or plan to buy at a level playing field with folks who are coming from Seattle with higher wages than Bremerton can offer? Affordable housing.
Affordable housing. Two things that I would like to do. First of all, we had 200 foreclosed houses within the city. Some of those houses are still boarded up. The banks do not want them back because they're underwater. I've been talking to Community Frameworks and Habitat for Humanity. What we'd like to do is contact all of those banks or financial institutions, have them deed over or write off that house. They have the funds, and that's where they will remain affordable. I'm also working with the Bremerton Housing Authority. They have purchased 4 different buildings from 22 to 35 units. They've upgraded them, and those are all affordable housing, not just Section 8, but affordable, which means 30% of someone's wages. I'd like the people that live here to be able to go over to Seattle on that fast ferry and work for Expedia. They're going to hire 35,000 people in a building downtown within walking distance of the ferry. I think that the people we have here going to Olympic College have the right to have the same kind of living wage jobs as those that already live in Seattle.
Thank you. Greg, same question.
Yeah, Joe, could you repeat that question,
I'd
please?
be happy to. The question is, do you have any plan to give local workers who rent or plan to buy a level playing field with folks who are coming from Seattle with higher wages than Bremerton can offer?
Yeah, I do. There's 2 solutions to making things affordable for a variety of incomes besides your high wage earners that the Seattle market's going to bring over here. You know, one, you increase your density, and we're going to have to offer incentives for folks to go taller with their buildings to make some of those units affordable, either affordable or lower income. You know, the community frameworks, Habitat for Humanity, you know, the Bremerton Housing Authority, these are places that help you get into homeownership. Now, the Bremerton Housing Authority offers rental assistance. The community frameworks have to have humanity or help you get into homeownership for folks who have lower incomes. But if you're talking about the rental market, there's only two solutions. One, you have to offer incentives for developers to go higher than what we currently allow. You do that, it makes it's a market solution, but we would have to get commitments that a certain percentage would have to be available for lower income folks. Expediting permitting is another incentive the city can offer.
Thank you. And Karen, same question.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Mr. Wheeler just said. But I keep going back to this because I think we're a city that tends to react to a problem, and we don't look out 10 years from now what we want that problem to look like or the solution to that problem to look like. Density is obvious. If you can get higher and you could give you give developers tax breaks and those kind of things on providing low-income housing. But we have a housing authority here. It's called the Bremerton Housing Authority. They are housing experts. We have one of the best executive directors in the country, Kurt Weiss, leading our housing authority. And I agree with the mayor. I think we should sit down with the housing authority and put together a housing plan for the next 10 or 15 years and what that's going to look like. And it's got to include homeless, it's got to include low income, it's got to include a mix of moderate and high income. And until we do that, we're just going to kind of react to the current problem that we see today. This is a 10 to 15 year out vision and a solution that we have to have. And then we operate on that plan as we move forward, rather than just hit and miss and pull something out of a hat every day. We just can't do that.
Thank you. Okay, so next question goes to Greg. You get to start off a new round, please. And the question is, what could you do with the old Elks building on Pacific Avenue? Right?
Well, the old Elks on Pacific Avenue needs to be something cool. It has to be something that really adds to our downtown. And you know, personally, as your mayor, I would be lobbying and working. I'd be over in Seattle knocking on doors. I'd be talking with the next entrepreneur in Bremerton, what restaurant they might provide there. You know, I think we could use another place to eat downtown. I think some entertainment options to go with it, helping our nightlife downtown would be fantastic. I think turning our downtown into a two-shift town. So instead of rolling up our sidewalks at 5, you actually roll out the next set of sidewalks for that evening option of entertainment. And that's going to be important for a number of reasons. I mean, if you want to attract people to your workforce for our own city, if you want to attract employees at the shipyard, if you want to attract employees for our new businesses that are coming to town, you absolutely have to have this opportunity to offer them downtown, as well as the rest of the city.
Thank you. Mike goes to Carrie. Carrie, please, same question.
I think private investors come because you have an infrastructure in that makes their property worth more money. When I was mayor, we built the conference center and the fountain park and the Memorial Plaza. We built the Naval Museum and a bunch of things that made property values downtown worth more. So people like Ron Shear came into town and other developers bring their own private money. I think the private sector has to now engage in what we're doing in downtown. I don't think that necessarily we might need to continue pouring more resources into downtown. I think resources need to be going into our neighborhoods. I think that's an attractive building for a private investor. I think somebody can come in there and build a hotel. I think they could do a variety of things, but I don't necessarily think local government ought to take responsibility for all of these projects.
Thank you.
The Elks building was sold in 1996 to Catholics Community Services. There are 55, and about 45 of those are homeless that they take care of and that are housed in that building. So there is a group of investors that are looking at that. Whenever you have someone that is being taken care of by an agency, you have to give them 1 year's notice before you can take and move them to another location. We did the same thing with West Park. when we had to move all those 500 families out of West Park, which is now Bay Vista, we had to find other locations and we gave them a year. So with those two things in mind, we have a year to give those residents that they're going to be moved, but we also have to make sure that whoever is interested in that building, and there are some very attractive investors that would like to take and work there. McMinimans is one, if you have heard of them. So as I say that, is there is a procedure that's in place. There are conversations taking place, and the question is a great one for the future.
Thank you. All right, next question, and Carrie, you get to start this one off. And this one actually goes back to some questions regarding economic development. This audience member asked, what is your plan to bring more business and economic activity towards the vacant buildings on Wheaton Way?
Wheaton Way is an interesting location in our city. I think when you've got deteriorated property values, such as we've had in Wheaton Way for a long time, that the best thing we can do is go in there and improve the infrastructure. I'm not sure Wheaton Way couldn't be boulevarded, and I'm sure it could be landscaped in a much better way, and the sidewalks could be improved, and the signage could be improved. And if we do that, then I think the value of properties on both sides are going to be more valuable and more appealing to investors. It's it's a matter of money, and the city's never had enough funds to go out there and really do what needs to be done, but it's an opportunity for the city. And I just think we take a block at a time, and we start improving that block in terms of its infrastructure, and we make it more appealing to investors.
Thank you.
This year, in fact, at the end of this month, the state is going to repay from Burwell all the way to Rydell on Warren Avenue, so except for the bridge. When they do that repaving, that's the time for us to take a look at the curbs, gutters, and the sidewalks. There are way too many driveways that go off of that, so the accidents that occur or the flow of traffic along that way, the owner that owns from the old Lowe's all the way down to Kmart is in conversation with me, and what we're talking about is closing off those driveways so that you can use Hollis right here or at the other end, Burwell, and use all of this here. He's willing to talk about that so that the infrastructure that was just mentioned is really going to happen, partly because we're having a contract with the state, they're doing the paving, we're hoping to do that sidewalk. With that, if you notice, he cleared 20 acres behind in order for some apartments. We have 165 apartments already in construction in the new transit station. This area will be improved shortly.
Thank you. And Greg.
Yeah, thank you for the excellent question. So I've already talked about this a few times. B&O tax reform is where you start. You absolutely have to accelerate phase out, get rid of it. You know, you do things like realign your resources. You make permitting a priority. You understand from a business perspective why this is important. You know, as your mayor, I would also look at our codes and our zoning. We don't want any obstacles in there for that those future employers. Those buildings, these buildings out here have become blight. We've lost opportunity. We've lost some civic pride. They're a blight on our city. You know, this is opportunity for jobs in our neighborhood. This is opportunities for goods and services to purchase in our own city. We need that pride back. We need to be providing these opportunities for our city again. As your mayor, I have the knowledge and skill, and I have the focus to spend the time to get this done. I will consider it an honor to get that opportunity.
Thank you. And Mike goes to Patty, please, for our next new question. Actually, this question originally I thought was possibly a softball question, but then I thought maybe there's an angel investor in our audience this morning and they want the answer to this. And the question simply is, if Bremerton was given a one-time gift of $10 million, no strings attached, how would you use it?
10 million sounds like a big number, but it would cost us $6 million annually just to do the maintenance and repair of our current streets in the neighborhoods. So 10 million would not go very far. I think I would want to take the 10 million and see how far I could leverage it. Again, either with the state, with another, we're already under contract with North Mason. They're going to be doing some of our chip sealing and some of the work. They were able to get supplies for the work that we've contracted at $3 less than we were. So by having $10 million and making that an incentive to get other partners to come on board, I would leverage that and see if I could get worth 50 to 100 million.
Thank you. Greg, same question.
That's another great question. So, a couple things come to mind. The Anderson Cove area is in dire need of help. So 10 million would probably purchase a lot of the properties down in that area where we could revitalize in partnership with other agencies, an area that is much in need. I can foresee there's one particular project that I'm going to see finished in my term in office with council support. That's Pendergast soccer fields. I believe that has tremendous potential and will be a regional asset when it's done. And it'll provide outdoor recreation opportunities for our citizens, and there'll be some economic opportunities, especially with our tourism, our dining, and our restaurant industries. They'll all realize benefits. So those are a couple things I would do. Some kind of home loan assistance programs for our cities. For folks that have been priced out of our market, come to mind. That $10 million is a great question, though. It's nice to be able to think about these things.
Thank you, Greg. And Carrie, same question. Microphone's right behind you, sir.
No one ever gave us $10 million as mayor, but that would have been cool. I have a plan called Neighborhoods Now. It's my first priority, and it's pretty thick, as you see. It probably pencils out at about 100 million in the first 4 or 5 years. That sounds like a lot of money, but we raised over 400 million when I was mayor before. So it would be, as the mayor said, it would be good seed money for doing the things we want to do. The rest of the 100 million would have to come out of state, federal funding, working with local nonprofits, working with churches and people who can provide volunteer services and those kind of things. So it's a whole myriad of assets that are in this community that can be used to rebuild our neighborhoods, and that would simply be a part of the 100 million.
Thank you, sir. All right, so now we have actually one last quick question, and this one actually you can go to Greg. Thank you. And this is a quick question. The question is, what is the best thing about Bremerton? You can only say one thing. So this is a quick round question. One thing. What's the best thing about Bremerton?
It's people.
Carrie?
People, I love Bremerton. I lived there 20 years, and I just love it.
Great.
And it has to be a three-way tie. The people make up what our city is.
All right. So that concludes our question and answer period. And now we conclude with the candidates get to give a 2-minute summary to end out today, and they can address, summarize, or readdress the question, or restate a position as they so wish. So we began this morning with Carrie. We'll begin with Pam. Please.
It's an honor to have served you for the last 8 years. And again, the reason I'm running is because there are some amazing things on the forefront. Not always apparent because you live here daily and you sometimes don't see the changes that are being made. But I care about this community, and it is made up of a diversity. We have the largest diversity of any city on this entire peninsula. Because of that, our Olympic College is an award-winning college. We have 12 baccalaureates now. We're trying to take care of those students and the people that are growing up in our city so that they have the same advantages. They can live at home and get the education. We have the shipyard where they also pay for an education. But the diversity in jobs that we need will come. Government doesn't make those jobs. Government allows the businesses to come in. We're attracting them. There's all kinds of things. People from all over the United States and the world now, globally, are looking at investing in this little corner of the world. We are a hot neighborhood that was just released in Seattle Magazine in 2015. We're in the arts, 6th city in the arts across the entire United States. The things that we do that make the quality of life in this city are not just for us who live here or the ones that are going to move here. The reason I want people to buy houses is that we have established neighborhoods that have those older rundown houses. New families, the children can benefit by living in the city of Bremerton. I want us to be universal as far as what our jobs are, what our housing is, and the people that live here. I don't think that we could have any better way of going than with your help, your vote, and the continuation of my term in the next 4 years. I still have some time. This is a beautiful city, and I know that you want to stay that way. The ferry system and the fast ferry that we now have is something that I've worked on the entire time that I've been in office. So I step out of being the mayor, and I work with the state and the federal government in lots of things to create a better life for you.
Thank you.
So I just want to say thank you this morning to the audience. Your questions have been great, and I've grown from them. So our city is ready for progressive, innovative, and energetic leadership. It's ready for a leader who understands technology and understands 21st century problems. It's ready for a leader who has 21st century solutions to those problems. I have the energy and the passion to get things done for our city. I understand what needs to happen and how we need to get where we need to go. I'm passionate about our city. This is my hometown. We have not yet reached our full potential. For the most part, we need work. We need some work to do, but we have tremendous bones in place to make this happen. We have a community college that's second to none in this country. We have views throughout our city. We have waterfront and view property that's unmatched. We have a stable employer, Puget Sound Naval Shipyard, and we have a growing city of Seattle that offers a tremendous amount of employment and cultural and arts and education and medical facilities for us to enjoy here. All of these things are great. We need to capitalize on them. Now is the time. I look forward to serving as your mayor. I look forward to earning your vote. Thank you.
Gary, your summary, please.
This isn't my hometown, and I haven't doorbelled 10,000 houses. But I don't think that's the question. I think the question, we're all applying for this job. We're all well-intended, good people. I think the question is, what have we done? And we've all served 8 years in local government. The question is, what have we done while we served those 8 years? What distinguishes us during the time that we served 8 years? 8 years on the council, the mayor served 8 years, I've served 8 years. What did we accomplish? Did we leave it better than we found it? Did we make a difference? Or are we just all up here talking about what we're going to do when we really haven't done anything yet? So I think first, when I'm interviewing somebody for a job, I want to know what they got done in their previous job, what difference they made, and then I want to know what they're going to do in the next 4 years. And I tend to set priorities and keep them pretty simple and put a plan together. My priority will be in the next 4 years to improve and empower our neighborhoods. Because I just believe that government is about helping people. And where's people's most important asset? It's their home. And over the last 15 years, we haven't invested enough resources in people's homes and in their neighborhoods. So I'm real clear about what my priority is going to be in the next 4 years. And I have a record of achievement in this community. No one should question that when I was mayor, we got a lot of things done, and there are a variety of reasons for that. We had Congressman Norm Dix, and we had a lot of other assets, and the economy was a little better. I'll admit to all of that. But nevertheless, if you're not a leader, even in good times, you don't get anything done. A leader is someone who has a vision for what they want to do, has a plan for how they're going to do it, is able to bring people and resources together, and then has a passion to make sure you get the job done. And I think I've proven that I can do that. So I appreciate it, and I've enjoyed today. Thank you.
Thank you. So just real quickly, next week, July 18th, if you want to find out who's on Council District 1, many of you probably don't know, but there's 3 candidates running. Please join us same bad time, same bad channel here. And now with that, we'd like to conclude by thanking our candidates for this morning's forum. Thank you very much. Audience.